Hi everybody, thanks for joining me today with Stamping with Loretta. I have been promising you guys for a long time to do a beginner series. So I'm going to do something that's really fun because it's really fun. Okay, I'm going to show you something. This is an artist trading card and it is made by a young lady on myscraproom.ning.com. I'm having a hard time getting it out. And here is her beautiful ATC. Isn't that cool? Okay, now her name is Taylor. Taylor is a new swapper, guys. Isn't that cool? So Taylor, my very first how-to for beginners is now dedicated to you. And I'll tell you why. Because you have done something I haven't seen done in a long time. She recycled. Not only is this a beautiful ATC, she used a playing card to do it. Isn't that really neat? Her butterfly has a little bit of dimension to it, as you can see, and it's got lots of nice colors and texture, and they're just, trading cards are so much fun. So without using an actual trading card, I want to show you how to do it with just paper and ink and all those good things. So I'm going to gather up a couple supplies and we'll be right back. Alright, I'm back and I have gathered up a few things, but before we get into today's Making an Artist Trading Card project, I want to share with you guys a few things that I think beginners in general need to have in their stash, like supplies. So here we go. Number one, a really good paper trimmer. This is a Fiskars trimmer. And it's got a tiny little wire right there in the middle. The reason that's so important is you can always keep your cuts and your score lines straight as long as you've got that little wire. Now, I will tell you the life expectancy on this particular trimmer is about 6 months. Especially if you forget that little wire is there and you cut through shrink plastic. Not for shrink plastic here, folks. And you know me, I love my shrink plastic. It's got an arm that extends out to, what is this one? 12 inches? It's got nice feet, so it does not slide. And as you can see, my husband wrote my name on it. I love his handwriting. I miss him. He's out working today. Okay, no more pouty face. That's too silly. Okay, so we need a good trimmer. Now, most beginners aren't going to have Copics. And girls and gentlemen, for that matter, you don't need them. But if you're going to color and color well, I highly suggest a good set of watercolor pencils. These are Kimberly. I've had them for a long time. I keep them in their box. I actually have a pencil box for them because there's a couple other colors that I have of watercolor pencils, like this pink one that I use all the time, and there's another red, a dark red in here too, that I just bought as an individual. Now you can buy these at your big box stores, your Michaels, your Joann's, etc. with a coupon, so don't forget that part. And they're not expensive, but they're really good. They're soft leaded pencils, and you'll also want a good pencil sharpener. Back to school sales are so terrific for pencil sharpeners and even watercolor crayons and watercolor pencils. All of that stuff goes on sale when the back to school sales start. So keep that in mind to save yourself some money. You're going to need I'm just making a mistake. Paintbrush or one of these aqua brushes. This actually has water in the barrel, or well, you put water in the barrel, of course, and the paintbrush, you just dip it in water and color. Now there are blending tools available. There are like a Versamark and a colorless blender pen, a watercolor blender pen that you can buy from your Stampin' Up! Wrap has them, your big box stores have them, and they're great too. But I don't have one because I use Copics more than I use anything. But this is Back to Basics series, and I'm going to try to figure out how to set up a playlist and supplies and that kind of stuff. I'll try to remember to put it in the description bar. I haven't been real good about that lately, have I? Okay, now, to get started with this, you're just going to need, and other things you're going to need are cardstock and pattern paper, and of course, watch your sales for those, ladies. You don't have to have the latest and greatest. If you have a pack from 2 years ago, or somebody gave you an old set of paper, cardstock, please by all means use it. It's so important to use what you have. I'm very fortunate to be able to afford a few more things that I don't need them. And I do try to save money when I can by using my coupons and take advantage of those online offers. I know that there are Girls with Etsy stores and some other places out there online that you can find supplies at a reasonable price. So I hope you're going to do that, okay? So let's do an ATC card. Alrighty, here we go. Alright, for this particular project, you're going to need some stamps. This is a retired set from Stampin' Up. I only paid $3 for it. How about that? Okay. You're going to need some cardstock. I've got a piece of pink, a piece of white, and some pattern paper. And as you can see, I hope you can see because I do have this zoomed in right now, this is actually just a scrap. So, like I've said before, use what you have. Now, I want my base to be pink, so I'm going to cut it. Now, when you're setting this project up in your cardstock, I think we're a little too close right now. Let's zoom out a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so to start out, we're going to lay our paper in the landscape position. So it's going to be the long way this way and the short way that way, okay? And we're going to make our first cut at 3.5 inches. So my trimmer, that means the little arm has to come out, and we're going to go to 3.5 inches. On average, if you do this correctly, you can get 10 cards out of one piece of cardstock. So we're going to cut this cardstock down to 3 inches to begin with. I'm having a little bit of trouble today getting my blade in. I'm not really sure why this blade is dragging at all because it is brand new. They're fairly easy to change blades in these cutters. Please read your instructions. So the next cut we're going to make is going to be 2.5. A artist trading card is 2.5 by 3.5 inches. And reflecting back to the artist trading card that I received from Taylor, a deck of cards or regular cards are usually that size, and that's where artist trading cards actually kind of got their start. I've been doing these for many years, and I just love them. So we're just going to cut a couple here so you get an idea of the layout for your cutting. So I'm just going to pull these two down, and I'm going to put that aside. Now, I want this pink paper to be one of my layers too, so I'm just going to cut it literally 1/8 of an inch smaller than the actual card base so that you will see some of this paper underneath. Now, I do not mind that this paper has a little bit of a frayed upper edge from the old blade. My old blade was just starting to wear out, and I just honestly didn't have a chance to replace it except right before the video. So now this layer is going to be 1/4 inch smaller than the first one. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this one to 3 1/4, just 1/8 of an inch less than 3 1/4, and 1/8 of an inch less than 2 1/4. And that's because this image isn't very big that we're going to be using on our project. And I should say 2 1/2, 1/8 inch less than 2 1/2. So we'll keep going on with this, just like this, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I actually got this idea from Ann Clemmer. She is Stamper Dog on YouTube. And what she did was she attached her tape to one of these ID bands, okay, that you use for your IDs for, you know, going into a company or whatever, hospital uses them all the time. What I did was I covered the part that you that doesn't get thrown away with just a little piece of pattern paper, and I covered the button up here with pattern paper, and I put a shrink plastic butterfly. But instead of taking off the end, I've hooked my scissors to the other end, and it just, I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see it in the video now, but I will show it to you in the end. I'm gonna clip it to my shirt, and I'll tell you, I hate losing scissors. I've got a lot out, and I can't find my scissors, and I can't find my glue, and this solves the problem. This is mono adhesive. You can use the tape or adhesive of your choice. I do recommend tape as a beginner because you can get tape off, you can't get glue off. But we'll go into some other products like Undo and other types of product that help remove nasty adhesive. So we're just going to tape these layers together. I'm going to just eyeball this because it's not going to have very much of a border at all. Okay, alright, that layer's down. And that layer is also crooked. I want to try that one more time. And in spite of having really good measuring, sometimes a project can be off a little bit, and you just need to go in and trim that up a little bit. That was actually, like, honestly, human hair too big. I had to put that trimmer on the ground. Every time I would try to sit it on my cigar box I keep my inks in, it just wasn't working out well. So we're just going to layer that on top of there. So now it looks like this. Okay, now on top of that we're going to layer our white layer as well. And, yep, I did it again. It's slightly too wide, so I'm going to trim this piece down by about a 1/16 of an inch. I don't even think it's the 1/16. Okay, there we go. Alright, before we attach that down, we're going to stamp and color our image. Now, I redid my cigar box actually last night and this morning because the one I was using, the paper was really wearing out on, and it wasn't big enough for what I needed it. So here's the one that I just made. I will shoot some still pictures for the end. I love the way it came out. I love the green. I haven't decided if I'm going to put some flowers or flourishes up on the top yet, but inside it does have storage for me for my ink pads that I use all the time. And for this project, I'm just going to go with my favorite, my Memento Black. It dries really quickly, and you do not need expensive cardstock for this project. Use what you have. I know Copic people kind of frown on the Georgia Pacific stuff. I happen to love it. I also like the Express It ink that is available through the Copic website. So we're going to take this cute little flower image and we're simply going to ink it up with our Memento Black ink. Now, I use lots of little kisses. This ink pad is extremely inky. I just inked it. One thing you want to look for is anything that might have gotten off the sides. If you see every once in a while where some ink got on this part of your stamp, just take your finger and remove that ink wherever you see it, or it will transfer to your project. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to simply take this and I'm going to stamp it towards the bottom of my white piece. Straight down, even pressure, and straight up. It's stamped very nicely for me. I will clean that stamp with a baby wipe. As some of you have seen in my previous entries, I keep baby wipes actually in a container. This baby wipe container that I altered for my own needs. Now, you're just going to take your baby wipe and you're going to clean your stamp. If you're making a lot of artist trading cards, or a lot of cards for that matter, you can wait until the very end to clean your stamp. It will not hurt it. Inks will stain the rubber over time. There's nothing you can do about it, and you might as well just let it go before it starts bothering you, because it's not worth it bothering you. Okay, now we're going to start coloring with our watercolor pencils. My particular set of watercolor pencils has 2 different greens in it. Actually, it has 3. And we're going to use all 3. Okay? Now, to begin with, I like to work from dark to light. But you don't have to. You can work from light to dark. So, to break my own habit, I'm going to work light to dark. This is just a mint green, and as you can see, I'm not coloring at all. I'm just making little, almost check mark strokes with my pencil. I actually did sharpen all my pencils for the most part before I started this video, which is, you know, of course, you're going to sharpen them as you go along. So, I'm just going to scribble. In the darker colors of the leaves, I'm not actually filling in any color. We will be doing that with our actual water brush, our paintbrush, a little bit later on. So let's go on and get some centers to our flowers done. Flower centers can be whatever color you want. I'm going to use a little red, and I do mean a little, that's it, and some orange. I'm just going to make an X. Kind of scribble that in just a little bit. Now, I do want to work with the colors of the pattern paper that I'm using for my ATC, which has a lot of green and pink in it. So I'm going to pick up a complementary color. In this case, this is a purple. This was called Heliotrope for my 2 tulips. And I'm just making circles. I'm not filling the whole thing in. As you can see, it's actually pretty much just scribbled at this point. Okay? So I'm going to go back and I'm going to pick up a darker purple. Excuse me. And this one's just called purple. And I'm going to just scribble toward the top where it would be naturally a little bit darker and a little bit at the bottom to add some shading. Alright. Now I'm going to pick up a blue. This is little tiny butterfly. You don't see him very well, I'm sure, on camera right now, but I'm just going to color him blue. It works. Now, what color should we use for the last flower? I think we'll use a really sunny yellow. It's been beautiful weather here in Maryland. I'm enjoying having our garden has started. I need to do some video journaling of that. I think you guys would really like it. So, okay. Now we've got that done. I'm just going to move these pencils out of my way for now. Now, if you actually have watercolor paper, you can stamp onto watercolor paper and do this. I do not have watercolor paper, so this is just a spray bottle that I always have water in. I've got a little piece of scrap from our cutting right here, and I'm going to do the purple first, just because I want to. This is very damp. It's not wet. You can't sit here and pinch water out of it. You don't want it soaking wet. You want it barely damp. Now, if you're not sure, then take your little piece of paper and just do some little squiggles. It should look kind of like that. You can barely even see that it's wet, which is what we want. And we're going to just push the color together with that brush. Okay, we're just pushing that color together. It's reacting with the pigments of that watercolor ink, or I should say watercolor pencil. Now, once this is dry, ladies and gentlemen, it will be permanent. So keep that in mind. So there are the 2 purple flowers. Now I'm going to do the grass. I'm going to use just straight up little strokes to blend that together. I am using the baby wipe I cleaned my stamp with just to kind of clean it off between colors. You can scribble it off on your scratch paper, whatever is more comfortable for you is fine. This baby wipe will also keep your brush damp enough to continue working. If you get out of the line a little bit like I did there, don't worry about it. It adds to that handmade look. It is not supposed to be perfect. I know we have discussed that before. Anytime you do a project, you need to try to be perfect as much as you can, but it's not always going to be that way. So accept it and enjoy the creative process, which is what this is all about. Now I'm also moving the yellow toward the center. I'm not going to clean my brush. I'm going to go in and I'm just going to blend that orange and red back together, and I'm going to bring it out into the flower just a little bit like that. I'm also going to just give a little bit to his head. And that's what the image looks like colored. Okay? So far so good. Now, I do want a little bit of a shadow behind this. So I'm just going to take this image right here, all the way over here, and I'm going to add a little yellow highlight behind it. You don't have to do this. It just adds a little bit more dimension. And you can do it to all the flowers. You can do it to one. It's really personal preference. And I'm just scribbling that little shadow into place. I re-dampen my brush. That time got a little too wet. And just go in and bring that highlight out. This time I'm actually brushing it out a little bit. It just picked up a little bit of that purple, which I didn't intend for it to do, but we can hide that by adding some more yellow. And now the image is finished. Okay, now it's time to actually complete our first artist trading card. We've got our 2 layers down. This one is taped onto this one. I put some dimensional adhesive dots on the back. These are from Judy Morrow. I will try to get her information and put it in a blog post or at the bottom in the description bar. And so now all we're going to do is, since I've already taken the backing off, is we're just going to layer this on top. To finish our card. Now if you want, you can add even a little bit more interest by just taking a pencil or a pen. It can be a marker if you like. Something's holding my, okay, there it is. And just add some little movement dots. It just adds interest. Makes it look like it's a really spring day when all the pollen's in the air. We all know what that's like, especially if you live in here right now. And it just adds a little bit more interest. This is a very simple artist trading card. You can do whatever you want with them. Of course, they are meant for trading and not selling. But if you practice simple techniques like I showed you in this video with just some plain watercolor pencils, some water, a brush, and stamps, and you're good to go. So now that we've finished our card, we're going to turn it over and we're going to sign it. Since I don't have a pen out, I'm just going to use my pencil. Sign it and number it 1 of, and then when you're done with however many you're going to make, you can put 1 of 10 or 1 of 3 or 1 of 1 and enjoy. I hope you'll give them a try. Stamp happy, be a blessing. Even though I just said stamp happy and be a blessing, I did want to show you one more thing on my cigar box. I did finish the inside of this one, and I don't think I really showed it when I showed you what was inside. I crackle finished this. I base coated with some gesso, and then when the gesso was dry, I put on the crackle accents and let that dry, and then I put on the green. It did not crackle as well as I wanted it to. For one thing, the paper that is inside the cigar box, I couldn't get it out. I tried everything. I tried sanding it, and so I just had to work with what I had, so that's that. And then, as you can see, inside the box, I just simply painted it the same kind of a moss green. It's not really an olive green. It's really dark and it's really nice. I love the color. I love how this came out. So I did give it feet, just some simple little cork feet, so that if I want to, use it somewhere else, it will not scratch my furniture. So, all right, you guys, have a great day. Talk to you later.